All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Carolina.
And I'm Alex.
And I want to welcome everyone to our Instagram live conversation. And today we're going to talk about how to ride with a style. Last week we talked about how to unlock new kiteboarding tricks. We recorded this conversation so you can re-listen it on my Instagram, but you can also find it on YouTube where you can find it in a better quality. So I want to welcome everyone who's joining. It's so great to see so many kiteboarders joining us today. And yeah, we broadcasting from Sardinia where we'll be hosting a progression clinic in a month, and we wanted to make this Instagram live conversation for the people who can't join us, who are currently riding somewhere else, because we want to see more people shredding, more people progressing the riding, and yeah, we hope this conversation is gonna come helpful for you. Do you have anything else to add before we begin?
Not really. I hope everyone's been having a good day. Hope you got on the water, got out there, got some kiteboarding done. We had a bit of a random wind here in Sardinia, switching directions 180, so got some foiling done, but it wasn't the best day, but hey, at least we're on the water. So now we're here with you, and hopefully we can give you some good information to help improve your kiteboarding.
Yeah, just write it in the comments. If we don't answer it today, we see you, we read your comments afterwards, so we hopefully respond to everything you guys need. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the first question to you. How has your style evolved? How has your style evolved through all these kiteboarding years? Because you've been kiteboarding for 23 years now. Take us through like all the differences that.
Good question. I mean, I guess style and like what people think is style, or you know, how they perceive what you're doing, like what your style is maybe subjective, like as a question. Like some people might be focusing, you know, more on one thing you're doing in a trick while another person's focusing on something else. But I think can kind of agree through different board sports that the style is sort of like your flavor that you're adding to certain tricks. It's not simply like the execution of a trick, which I think a lot of people in kiteboarding get confused. I hear a lot of people, I hear commentators at events and stuff saying, oh, that guy had really good style, when the person was just doing like a good execution of a trick. I think like good execution and good style are like two completely separate things. Sure, they can work together. Having good execution is probably going to help you to have good style, but good style and good execution aren't the same thing. And I know that's not answering the question exactly, but I just want to put that out there so people maybe think a little bit more about when we're talking about style. They can think, oh, okay, now I understand more what style is. It's not so much just doing the fundamental or doing the trick well. It's also about adding your kind of unique spin flavor, or unique just way you do the trick to a trick or to whatever you're doing on the water. So
can I just interrupt you for a second? I had this thought that a lot of us think the style is reserved for professional kiteboarders, where we see a lot of amateurs could actually improve their style through like the tricks they can already do. But I feel like people think, oh, this rider is stylish, talking rather about professional riders, not really about amateurs. But we see like actually adding that style to your tricks could be an extension of learning process, learning new fun things, which is why we want to talk here about it, because we feel like a lot of amateurs don't work on their style because they think it's just for pro riders, where we think everyone could work on their style, and it'll be so great to like add it to the tricks that people can do, like, right?
Yeah, I think like especially within kiteboarding, in the twin tip sort of discipline or categories, people are often like, they're working on their progression, they're working on their repertoire of tricks, they want to do better tricks, but they're not necessarily thinking so much about the style of the tricks and how those tricks look. I think that's really like an aspect in this sort of twin tip categories across, you know, all the disciplines that is really overlooked. And I guess you could say there's a couple reasons, you know, I don't think criterias for judging in the competitions, particularly award style, you know, anything more most of the time. So riders don't really think about that because they're not going to get more points from adding style to their tricks usually.
Yeah,
but
competitions are really important in our sport because we can see it like now bigger competitions are so big. We see so many amateurs actually doing bigger, and like you say, if they don't reward style, like amateurs follow professional riders, so if they don't reward style, people not working on it either. But it could be so great for amateurs to have that extra thing, and since we're in the social media era and everyone wants to look good on internet, it's so great to add it to your riding.
Well, that's another point I think, is that the social media aspect too within kiteboarding, like the way people are rewarded is generally not about riding with good style. It's just about doing some particular extreme stunt or, you know, crazy looking trick. The style aspects like a more like finer degree of what you're doing, like it's refining what it is. And to someone else that kiteboards, like to you and me, someone working on style and having a good style is really impressive to us because it shows that they've spent a lot of time mastering a trick and then putting their own spin on that trick. And so, you know, if you're really trying to grow your own level and to make what you're doing look good to other people that can kiteboard, I think that style is then probably one of the most important things you can do once you learn a trick, is to put your own style on it.
Yeah, so, well, we're gonna go into it later. So like, take us through your style, because
I mean, to answer your question, I mean, everyone's style is going to evolve throughout their career because as you do different tricks and as, you know, the times change, you're changing what you're doing as well. Like, you know, at one point in time, maybe a wide stance is popular and that's going to affect how you do a certain trick or how a certain trick looks. Maybe after some time a smaller stance is more popular and so your legs are moving in a different way to make the trick look a different style. But I think like throughout my career, obviously my style, I would hope that it's got better because as you progress and as you learn more tricks, you would hope that your style is getting better. But I mean, I think my style is evolving, just changing with the different things I'm doing. So as I'm getting more influence from different sports or different stuff I'm doing, whether it be surfing, skateboarding, snowboarding, I'm just taking bits and pieces of these sports the more I'm viewing things, and it's just constantly evolving with what is happening in those different sports. So I mean, it's hard to pinpoint your own style, like how has it exactly changed? I don't really know. I would just say I would hope that it's evolved to be better or cleaner than it was previously. Things are more refined, stuff looks cleaner.
You experiment a lot with your boards, with different type of kites. Like, does this also change the way your style is, or?
Yeah, I think it does. Obviously, equipment choices are going to play quite a big part in how you look and how a trick is going to look. As I said, if your stance is smaller, your board is bigger, all these things are going to affect how you're doing a certain trick. But I don't necessarily think that means like that's your style. Like I think that someone could have a wider stance, a smaller board, and still do things that look stylish. It would just mean that they need to focus on those things more, perhaps, or it would just look slightly different.
Yeah.
I think equipment choice is important if you really know how you want to look and how you want to ride. But I don't think it's so important that if you don't have that stuff, you can't improve your style. There's always ways to improve your style, I think.
Yeah.
Well, anyone.
For a lot of us, different things look good as a style. This is a pretty big word. Like when I first started kiteboarding, I just want to do everything faster, everything bigger, and everything more technical, that was my style. This is what I was looking at, this is what I wanted to do. and this is what was rewarding for me in the competitions. But then as I start traveling and meeting other riders and seeing the way they ride and how they like feature in the magazines more, or they feature in certain like movie productions, and I wasn't, even though I had the repertoire of the tricks, I would be actually wondering, what am I doing wrong? Why my style maybe is not as, I don't know, wanted for this type of places. And actually in the previous video, Colleen asked like, how do I work on a style? How do I get style like the way I ride now? I've been looking into the riders I've been actually admiring at the time, and just trying to see if those things work for me, because there are tricks that certain riders do very specific ways, and it just doesn't work for other people. Like, there are some tricks you can do, like I could try so many times and it just doesn't work, and then that's why I work on some other like style elements that work for me but maybe don't work for you, which is why we're actually having this conversation together, because our styles differ so much. And to just come up to my evolution of my style is that when I stopped competing and I stopped worried about like those freestyle tricks that I was getting rewarded on a competition, I start working more on evolving my style and getting more, I would say, personalized touch to the tricks that I've been doing for so many years. And it's sometimes easier to learn a grab with a trick we can already do than to learn a new handle pass or to do more 180 rotation more. So how do you work on your style?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I guess for me the key to working on your style and improving your style is to focus on the fundamentals first. Obviously, you want to be able to do like whatever it is that you want to add your own style to, you want to be able to do that really well. So make sure you have like a very good execution of whatever the trick is first.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to do that, but that's going to make it way easier to add your own style, because if you can do the trick the same every time first with a good execution, then you can start working on, you know, adding your own grab into the trick, adding your own kind of tweak into the trick, just doing things that are going to make it look more personalized, which is your style of that trick.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for example, me, I would take something that I can do. So maybe I can do like just a half load backside 180 off the water. And then I would think about, okay, what's a cool way I can like add my own like grab to this trick that someone else isn't doing, or someone else isn't doing the same as me. So I would think about, okay, like, is this grab gonna like look good or bad? And I would try a few different things out, and then I would find one, okay, this works pretty well, it looks pretty cool, and I don't see other people doing this, so then I would be working on that trick, just trying it over and over again until you find like the right way to do it, where you can, you know, hold the grab or do something in the trick where your style is gonna like look good.
Different as
look
well.
Different.
That's so you're looking just to be different than other riders, and this is how you, when we see picture of you or we see you ride, we know it's you, right? So that's your idea about like adding the style and working on it.
Yeah, you would hope that if you have a picture of yourself or someone sees a silhouette of you riding or something, that they can say, oh, that's that person riding, and they know that because you have a certain style.
Yeah.
And you can see that in your riding.
Well, to answer this question as well, for me, it's as much work as learning a new trick. It's not as hard physically, because a lot of unhooked tricks just require a lot of like fitness and a lot of strength. But this is just like those details that it's so hard to do it right every time. And even though sometimes you think like, oh yeah, this looks easy, like adding just grab here and there, or going faster or going higher, it's just so easy. But actually it's not as easy as people think. Like even going faster and executing your trick faster, it's so hard to do. Like I struggle so much to go faster. All right, and so I guess my last question is if you have like one master tip to improve riding from the next session, because we have all these people listening us tonight who just want to improve their style from the next session. Like what would be?
I mean, probably these two things go together, but probably the best tip you can have is to film or take photos of what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because then you're going to see what you're doing and how it looks, because so many times you have a picture in your head of what you're doing, but then when you see it on a video, what you're doing is just completely something else, and it might not even look good. What you're doing might feel good sometimes, and then sometimes it doesn't look good at all. So I think my master tip is, if you're working on anything to improve your style, try and get someone to film it, take a photo, you know, anything, even if it's not a good video, just so you can see what's happening, and then you know you're going to get a good idea of what you're doing and what you can improve in that trick or whatever it is you're trying to put your own style into.
Yeah, especially photos are just going to show you everything. If you think you're grabbing the board and then you get and the photographer can't even get a frame of you grabbing the board, that means you're just not grabbing the board long enough. Or sometimes you think you're going so high and then you see it on a picture, it's not as big. It also depends on a photographer or videographer, you know, like if you have a good angle as well, it's gonna look bigger, faster, and like more stylish. If you've got a professional like kiteboarding videographer and photographer, that photo is gonna be definitely way better than like taking it from the phone. But like if someone's taking photo of you and there is no frame that you're grabbing, or there is no frame that you performing certain thing that you think you are, that probably means you should sacrifice a little bit more time of getting it right, because you guys want to have sick photos on internet. Like maybe even if you're not professional, you still want to have nice photos online, and you want people to look at it, think that you're guys pro. So why not working on that? And so then my master tip today would be to just add a tail grab to every trick you can do, to a back roll, to a front roll, to a high jump, to a kite loop, to even hydrofoiling. Just grab that tail grab, tail of your board, and I can guarantee every photo and every video is going to look so much better. Like it's so simple, yet I still see people not grabbing that tail grab right and missing it. And every time I'm coaching people, I say just try the tail grab, and they say I can do it, and then they miss the grab, or they can do it with one rotation but not the other. So I would just suggest to go out there, try every trick you can do with a tail grab, and I can guarantee your style is going to look amazing on all the photos. And yeah, do you guys have any questions, or do you have anything to add?
Well, yeah, I think that adding a grab, like just trying to do all the tricks you can do with a tail grab, for example, is a really good tip, because whether, you know, all those tricks aren't going to look great, but probably you're going to find one trick along the way that works well with a tail grab, and it's going to look better. And if you only improve one trick along the way, that's, you know, that's still a win, right?
Yeah, I mean, some grabs we can do are so much more complicated, require so much more technique and stuff. I think tail grab is one of the easier ones, but it just gives so much style to everything. And it's not as easy as some people think. Like, okay, you can do back roll tail grab, how about back roll tail grab to blind? That makes it already so much more hard, yet sounds so easy. But I feel like trying this thing could be a great extension to the progression you guys have. And a lot of the time when the conditions are not suitable for progressing to like more difficult unhooked tricks, just doing that is just not wasting your time on the water, just working and progressing and just looking better.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, adding style, adding grabs is something you can work on as well that isn't so difficult. So, you know, if you're stuck learning a new trick, you don't have like the technique or the power to do, you know, another rotation on the tricks you're already doing. Adding different grabs to the tricks you're doing is like just another thing that you can learn, that you can do, that's going to be rewarding on the water and might not even be that hard. But there's a lot of different grabs that you can add. So it's like, really, if you're getting bored kiteboarding, you just haven't tried enough. You haven't tried enough grabs, or you haven't tried enough adding enough things to the stuff you can already do. For sure, you can't do all the grabs on all the tricks you can already do. So if you know, if you focus on this, I mean, you're just going to have more fun on the water, basically, is what I think.
Yeah, because kiting is fun as long as you're progressing, as long as you're learning new tricks. And if you stop progressing, as we just talked about this in the previous live, it's just starting to be a routine, it's starting to be boring, this sport is starting to fade away. And kiteboarding is one of the best sports you could be possibly doing. Like, it's a bit shame when we see our friends quitting because they just don't progress, they don't have fun, or they don't have that thing. So we hope that you guys can learn this summer. If you can join us in Sardinia, it's gonna be great. If you can practice on your tricks wherever you're riding, wherever the conditions are suitable. Yeah, so any questions? I need to scroll probably here to see things you guys were asking. Lots of you coming. Lola says so true. Yeah, Lola, we can't wait to see you on the water working on your style, because it's so easy, so rewarding. Like some tricks are so hard to get, but like if you work on the style and then you see people taking photo of you and they just look sick, nothing lost. So yeah, there's some question about visualization here. We're going to talk about that soon as well, because a lot of people asking how to visualize tricks. Well, even if you're working on a style, imagine what you're doing and then just imagine that before going to the water, before trying it on the water. I think in our sport we are not really used to like observing and thinking before we going, because we're so excited that it's finally windy that we just like go so fast and don't even think, and then we're trying the trick on the water for the first time. I think if you imagine what you are planning to do, your new trick, the grab, or like whatever you're working on at the beach, is going to be such a big win, because yeah, it's just so simple yet so difficult, because it's not always windy, and we know kiteboarding, once it's windy you've got to be out there. All right, anything to add today?
No, I think that's good.
Let us know what you want us to talk next week, because we want to see you guys improve the riding. And just to sum up this conversation, you can rewatch this on my Instagram. You can also tune in on YouTube with the better quality. And if you find this conversation helpful, maybe send it to your friends who also trying to progress riding this summer. And yeah, we guys, great to see everyone, and we see you next week. Bye.
Yeah, good luck. Thank you. See you later.